Hello dear students, how are you doing? I hope you are doing well. Let's start our lesson. Prepare your pens and notebooks to make some notes. The topic of our lesson is weird and wonderful places. In today's lesson, we are going to do the listening task, then we are going to read the text and watch the video, and after that, we are going to do the speaking activity. We start with the listening task. You'll get points during the lesson. The total number of your points should be 18. Look at this picture. Can you guess what we are going to listen about? Well, here we see a floating island, and we are going to listen about floating islands. After the listening, we will do true or false task. Let's get acquainted with statements. The first statement. Floating islands were made of concrete. The second statement. Urus people made these islands to protect themselves hundreds or thousands years ago. The third statement. If they were in danger, they would dive into the lake and stay safe. The fourth statement. Nowadays, Urus don't live on the floating islands. And the last statement. They also build farms, houses and schools on their islands using tall and thin plants. Now listen attentively.
On Lake Titicaca in South America, there is something which exists nowhere else in the world: floating islands. Hundreds, perhaps thousands of years ago, the Urus people made these islands to protect themselves. If they were in danger, they would move the islands and stay safe. The islands are made out of tall, thin plants which the Urus tied together. They also built farms, houses, and schools on their islands, using these plants. The Urus still live on these incredible floating islands. They fish, hunt, and farm for food. Theirs is a life few of us can imagine living.
Now you should decide which statements are true and which are false. Let's start with the first statement. Urus people made these islands to protect themselves hundreds or thousands years ago. Is it true or false? What do you think? Right you are. That's true. The second statement. Floating islands were made of concrete. Is it true or false? Right you are. That's false. The floating islands were made of tall and thin plants that were tied together. The third statement. If they were in danger, they would dive into the lake and stay safe. Is it true or false? Right you are. That's false. If the Urus people were in danger, they would move islands. The fourth statement. Nowadays, Urus don't live on the floating islands. Is it true or false? Right you are. That's false. Because Urus people still live on the floating islands. And the last statement. They also built farms, houses and schools on their islands using tall and thin plants. Is it true or false? Well, that's true. Perfect. Now we are going to read texts about strange but wonderful islands. I'll read the text and you should follow my reading. Pay attention to the underlined word. Christmas Island. Until the 19th century, this small island, over 1,500 kilometers from the mainland of Australia, was uninhabited. Today, along with its 2,000 inhabitants, there are a huge number of strange animal and plant species. The most famous of these is the Christmas Island red crab. Essentially, red crabs are the dominant forest floor consumers, clearing the forest floor of leaf litter and consuming most seeds and seedlings before they can become established. By digging burrows, they turn over and aerate the soil and promote water absorption. Now, you should choose the correct definition of the verb aerate. Aerate is to move from one place to another, or it is to supply something such as the soil or a liquid with air, or C. It is to use fuel, energy, or time, especially in large amounts. Which variant is correct? Well done. To aerate is B. To supply something such as the soil or a liquid with air. Well done. Every October, millions of these small red crabs with their little claws migrate out of the island's forest towards the coast. It is one of the most spectacular animal migrations on Earth. People come from all over the world to see it. But with the number of people on the island increasing, local people are trying to protect the crabs. They've built the crabs their own bridges and roads so they can make their little migrations in peace. Choose the correct answer to the question. What is the purpose of building bridges and roads for crabs? A. To keep track of crabs' migration. B. To control the migration process, or C. To make the migrations safer for crabs. Well done. The correct variant is C. Now we read another text about Easter Island. Follow my reading. If you are looking for a land of mystery where nothing is what it seems, look no further than Easter Island. Hidden in the deep blue ocean of the Pacific, this small island is one of the most remote islands in the world. On the island, there are several hundred large stone statues of moai. Each moai is about 4 meters high and weighs a massive 12 tons. They were carved several hundred years ago, and they look almost the same as each other. Now you should choose the synonym of the word carve. It is to sculpt, to destroy, or to demolish. What do you think? Well, you are right. This is to sculpt. Each one has a giant head, nose and mouth, and their bodies are hidden underground. To this day, nobody knows why the ancient inhabitants of Easter Island, the Rapa Nui people, made these huge statues. What we do know is that it would have taken a lot of work. After they carved the statues, they often moved them to the coast and left them there, where they could look out to sea forever. Answer the question, please. What did the Rapa Nui people often do after carving the statues? And the answer is, they moved the statues to the coast and left them there where they could look out to sea forever. Well done. Now, dear students, can you answer my question? What are the common things that people do while traveling? Well, let's answer this question together. People see animals in their natural environment. They also try delicious food. They admire interesting architecture, relax, go sightseeing, and buy souvenirs for themselves and for their relatives. Do you know that sometimes souvenirs can be illegal? Well, now we'll watch a video about illegal souvenirs. In order to understand the video better, we need to know these words: elephant tusk and turtle shell. Now watch the video about the illegal souvenirs.
While on holiday, people want to buy something unique from the area to show people back home. Sometimes, unknowingly, people buy souvenirs that are illegal. So, what should tourists avoid when traveling abroad? Ivory is a white material that comes from elephant tusks. Trading ivory is illegal because elephants are endangered animals. Poachers take their tusks and sell them to make jewelry such as bracelets and necklaces. Because of this, African elephants are close to extinction. Sea turtles have a hard covering or shell which protects them from harm. Tourists might buy turtle shell souvenirs like bracelets, rings and jewelry boxes. In most places, sea turtles are protected by law, which means selling shell souvenirs is illegal. Due to hunting, the population of sea turtles is declining quickly. You might know that coral reefs are under threat from global warming, but another threat to them is coral poaching. This is when people dive into coral reefs and break off pieces of coral to make expensive jewelry. In some places you can buy coral jewelry legally, but next time you see a coral bracelet, stop and think about the future of the world's coral reefs.
Now we're going to do the speaking activity based on the video. I have prepared you some questions that you have to answer. The first question: why do tourists buy illegal souvenirs? And the suggested answer is: sometimes people buy unknowingly illegal souvenirs since they want to bring home something unique from holiday. The next question: why is ivory illegal to trade? The suggested answer is: ivory is a white material that comes from elephant tusks. Nowadays, elephants are endangered animals. Well done. The next question: what items are made of turtle shells? Tourists buy turtle shell souvenirs like combs, masks, and jewelry. And the last question: what are the threats to coral reefs? And the answer is: coral reefs are under threat from global warming, but another threat to them is coral poaching. Well done. Now it's time to evaluate your progress. If you have from 6 to 9 correct answers, that's not so bad. If you have from 10 to 15 correct answers, that's better. And if you have from 16 to 18 correct answers, that's perfect. Today we have done the listening task, read the text and watched the video, and then we have done the speaking activity. It's time to finish our lesson. See you next time.